What's up guys? Part 4 of our How to Make Liquid Drum and Bass series. So previous video, we've added the intro and built some other bits out and just generally fleshed the track out a little bit, giving it some more melody. We've rebalanced it, we've taken and built our breaks and done some other bits. What we're going to do in this section is I've now got an intro, I've got the 32 bar section. That could play a good loop for us. We could even build a mid 8 out. What we're going to do is make it so that whole section transitions and feels correct. So we're going to play into the intro and make sure there's a nice build and it goes into that main section. Make sure the main section, all the little intros and the little changes and bits all flow together, and then we're going to make sure it flows right at the end so that if we were to loop it back into the intro, it doesn't just feel like it's suddenly dropping off. So we'll probably add maybe some risers, do a bit of white noise, maybe change the rolls. Just going to see where we go with it from there, and that's going to be the main thing. Now, if I've got time as well today, remember way back in the first video, we started with a break that we brought in from Loop Cloud. I want to give you this project, so we can't keep that break in there. So what I'm going to also try and do this video, probably roll it into the next, is we're going to rebuild that break using some of the synths. So we're going to rebuild the kick drum and make our own sound. So we use that break for inspiration to get us started. We're going to look at getting rid of it and completely making this our own. Totally a process I'll go through unless I've got live recorded drums, then almost impossible for me to do. But this sort of synthesized sound we can totally recreate and make our own 100%. So we'll look at doing that. I might use some third-party synths, so something like FM8 is really useful for me for making snares rather than what's in Logic, but I'll give you the audio samples anyway. Yeah, that's what we're going to do, so let's get into that. Okay guys, we're in Logic, we're in the project, we're on part 4. I'm just going to play through this just as a reminder to myself of where we're at, because I'm working on this week by week with you guys. So let's just have a listen through, listen to the bits we've got, and then we're going to try and build those elements up to make everything flow together a bit more. Cool. So what would want to happen is we could sort of loop this section and it would feel seamless. So we need to have sort of a build-up type thing happen at the end. So if we grab these 4 bars here, I think what we'll do, we'll do a bit of a white noise sweep, which is super cliche, but we'll build that up and see how it goes. We'll also bring in the reverse hat from before. Let's try that out real quick. Yeah, so combined with that, that should work quite nicely. So I tend to build my white noise sweeps with Alchemy, so that is what we'll do. Let's add a new channel, so we can click up here, go software instruments, and oh look, Alchemy is already assigned. So let's create a new one. We don't want you there. We're going to be sensible and throw you down at the bottom. Just a real quick thing to talk about actually, sort of I have a hierarchy when I work in terms of sound. It tends to go like most important at the top, but then not necessarily in that order afterwards, but in order of importance in terms of groups. Let me explain what I mean real quick. So I've got the drums here, which is all of this lot, right? Now they're sort of in order of importance in the way they work-ish. So kick is always going to be there driving along. It's the most important element, especially in this sort of music. It is the driver. So if we take these two here, of course we've got the kick and the hat that go together there, and that's like that driving rhythm. Then we've got the supporting kick below it. So those first three, that makes up my rhythm section really straight away. That's the rhythm of the track. I've got it within those first three. So I know that those elements need to always be there, or that rhythm goes, it's gone. Now, next most important thing after that is snare, because the snare is going to be our consistent, always there, always present, rolling the track along. So that's just a little hierarchy thing of the way I work. Like if this was vocals, that would be my lead vocal, that would be my harmony, and these would be my ad-libs, right? It just helps me work that way. So I know that once I'm past the drums, I get into the instruments, my key instruments, the piano. Look, it's the first one. Then I've got the supporting instruments below it. Just a nice way that I tend to work, which is why alchemies come right to the bottom straight away, because it's going to be an effect. Let's stick at the bottom. So I digress. Let's add a little 4-bar clip in here. If we give it a good old double click, it will change our mixer to this beauty, the piano roll. And C3, we're going to do a little 4 bars. Don't need anything fancy. It's not going to be musical, so we can just use C to trigger it. And let's bring alchemy up. So I'm going to show you a really quick way to make a white noise patch, because it's so easy to do. We'll do it in here. So we'll go File, Initialize Preset, and that gets us to here. So from here, we go from where it says global, and we can see all the oscillators, to just A. We're going to turn off the oscillator that says saw. We're going to turn on the one that says white noise. Where it says low cut, we're going to bring that to sort of the 80-90 mark. We've gone to 100, we'll survive. Isn't that just glorious? Cool. I tend to take a little bit of the high end out as well, just a personal preference thing. I'm old, I can't hear that loud anyway. So once we've done that, we can go back into global. We're going to modulate the cutoff, the resonance, and I think we might play around with the drive as well. Now, I don't know if you guys have used automation much in Logic. If you press A, we can see our automation lanes. And to assign them, we could go volume, and we could go down to alchemy, and there's like a million different things in here. What I do is a bit of a cheat sheet, is I will just change the record mode from read to latch. I'll open up alchemy. And when I play, it's now going to latch to anything I move. I'll just move these 3 parameters and it will make lanes for me, which is just quicker. Now if we drop these down, I've got my 3 lanes. It's just a much quicker way of working for me personally. So we've got them in order here. We've got a filter drive right up the top. So for the minute, we'll zero that out. We don't really want to play with that just yet. What we want to get right first is going to be our resonance and frequency. So we don't want this present the whole time. We actually only want it to sweep up right at the end. But we're going to want some presence in there throughout the whole thing. So if we get rid of these points, you can double click on any point in Logic just to remove it if you accidentally put a bunch in. If we just try something real simple like that for the minute. Sweet, we're gonna pull that in a little bit, and if we press T and W, we can curve these a bit, and we're just gonna make it a bit smoother. Cool, so just in perspective of the track real quick. Sweet. So if you're wondering, by the way, why I took out the low end in alchemy, so when we went into A and we just took the low end out here, when we trigger this, it's going to be loud at all frequencies. So white noise is every single frequency at a constant volume. That affects our bass tones, it affects our kick drum massively. So I just cut everything out, usually below like 80, it went to 98. It doesn't matter massively. As long as it gives us space and those frequencies don't occur, we'll be okay. And it shouldn't affect it too much. I don't know if I'll be able to demo it. That's really quick. Let's drop that right down. Try and have a listen and see if it really affects the kick. Yeah, it drowns it out a little bit at the end. If we then bring that back up to like the 90-ish region that we were in. Yeah, not as much at the end. It's not a huge difference, but you know, if you had that sweep building up over a really long period, it would definitely start affecting it. Just a little thing that I do, you know, 10,000 little things make everything sound right. So let's have a quick look at what we're going to do with the resonance. What have we got? We're on a 12 dB. We're going to make this a bit harsher if we can. We're going to take the low pass 24 like that, make it a little bit steeper. Cool, and just here, about halfway in, we're going to have a little resonance sweep down as well. Cool, so I don't want that coming in quite as steep as it did. Cool, we can ease that off even more so. Cool, and that just drags our ears to it just a little bit. And right at the top we've got drive. Oh, by the way, what I've done here, I've left it in latch. If we now drop these down, we've probably ended up making other lanes of automation. Let's have a look. No. But we need to take that off latch and back onto read. Otherwise, anything we move while playing will start recording. Now, right at the end, let's have a little bit of push on the old drive. See what we've got. Sweet. That's maybe a little bit loud, a little bit harsh. We'll pull you back a little bit here. And I think we'll dial it back on here, about 6 dB. That should blend in a bit better. Sweet, it's feeling a bit more transition-y now. Now, another little thing I like to do, rather than just having it a dead cut off, I will use some effects on it. So I'll tend to put something like a delay in. So we go down here, the bottom left, click on effects, and we can pop a delay in. We're going to take sync off, and we're just very slightly going to change the rate between left and right to give it a little bit of a stereo feel. We're going to mix it down to about 30. Cool, and that gives it a bit of a transition. We're going to dial the feedback back to around 25, 30 as well, I think. It's a bit much there. That transitions a bit better, and I'll sometimes do this, not every time, but we're going to add a little bit of reverb, mix it right the way back, timing really short, and we want the room to be quite small as well. Now so we'll dial the size back. If that was all a bit much for you, like I said, at the end of this I intend to upload the whole project. So you can download that and you can have a proper look in the patch that way, but we've now built that in. So let's test it out in terms of the loop, and we'll transition into this bit here. Cool, so definitely not perfect, and the reason being, it looks like I cut it short here. for whatever reason. That's why we listen to these things. We can turn automation back off by hitting A. Get rid of U, press E, press A to get rid of automation. Let's try again. Cool, so that works for us. It's a little bit loud, so we'll dial it back. Let's go -9 instead. The resonance there really helps the ear latch onto it, so it doesn't need to be massively loud. There we go, more of a background feel and transition there. Now we can do a much longer version of that building up here if we like. So let's try that. What we do, we'll copy it. We shall double click and we'll wind it back here. We'll double it in length. Now we've already got all our automation lanes and bits set up, so we can just drop everything down. Excuse me, drop everything down, thank you. And I don't know why we haven't got our drive one there. There we go. And we can create a new one here. So like we did before, let's have the filter not reach the top until right near the end. Have a little sudden increase there. We'll have it so it really gradually builds in this time. We should be able to hear it quite early on because there's no drums or anything else in this bit of the track. So something like that, I reckon. And we can really play around with the resonance, have a really long sweep down. Should make it really latch on in terms of the ear, and let's say from about 2/3 of the way in, just give it a little boost. Let's try that out. Sweet, so we didn't really get it until the end, so we can bring everything up here. And we can tease that resonance a bit more. Sweet, so that now gives us a really nice bit of movement, right? Let's just listen to it soloed. And a nice little push at the end, and that's where that reverb and delay really works nicely right at the end there, because instead of just suddenly cutting away, which can totally work, I just like the transition to be sort of smooth and feel natural, especially in this type of music. And it goes really nicely into the crash as well, right? Sweet, so we've got a couple of sweeps built up here. It's working well. Quiet and everything's sitting nicely. For me, these arps have become a little bit loud, so we'll drop these down to around the 12 region. Yeah, that's working nicely for us. I think we've got a good amount of things going on now. Now, I mentioned in the intro, I'm going to try and recreate our drum sounds and replace the break. So let's maybe look at doing the kick drum, and we'll get another alchemy patch and we'll see how far we get. What I might just do is give you guys the basic concept, and then in the final project we'll have the full thing. So if I sit here and do the whole thing, it just becomes a really long and boring video for you guys. So let's do another patch, and this time we're going to bring it up near the top, and it was this one, right? So I layered it with this kick. So that's the sort of sound we're going to look to recreate, that particular kick drum just here, because I can leave the other kick in. I suppose the other thing to do would be contact loop masters, but you know what? This teaches you guys more, and it's what we should do. So that's what we're going to do. We do what's right, right? So firstly, we're going to create the pattern. We hit E, we can get this up again. And hopefully you guys remember what key we're in, but I haven't worked on this for ages, and I don't think I saved the key in here, did I? I think we're in G. Project, G major. Look at that, I actually did something properly. So what we'll do, we'll launch it off of a G. I think maybe G2. That's D2, what are you doing? G2. And we'll maybe cut that note down a little bit long there. So they drop there and there, right? Syncopation unders, you know this. Sweet, let's try and make ourselves a kick drum in Alchemy to replace this guy with. So kick drum, generally you can just do it with a sine. So we're going to initialize our preset. We're going to mute the other kick so it doesn't change what we're hearing. If we look at source number A here, source number A, letter A, we'll change that to a sine. And that gives us nothing like what we want, right? So first things first, with a kick drum, it tends to have the real like punch at the start, right? That's the real transient bit. That's actually generally quite a high frequency. Be something, we'll try and keep it all in key. So it'd be something around here for me on this. Then using automation, we're gonna whack that down to probably -24. Yeah, and that gives us the base of our kick, right? You can hear that. So it's going to move across 3 octaves. That's how we're going to get this to work. Now, as well, kick drum, really short transient. So our attack, we want this to be almost instant. Hold, we don't really want any. Release, we want to be super, super short. Sustain, we don't have any. So just down to decay. So we're going to have something like this. Yeah, and it's just this weird like high-pitched pop at the minute. If we click on the tune, so where we pitched it up 12 semitones here on that sine wave, we're going to assign this its own ADSR as well. So we're going to switch the on for the target, go ADSR envelope, and new ADSR. And now you can see we're on 2 and it's got its own thing going on here. And what we want to do, we need that to stay where it is and then drop down super rapidly. So how are we going to do that? Where it says ADSR2 here, we're going to tell it to drop down 36 semitones because we want it to go to -24, but it's already at +12. So we need to go 36 to make it drop the right amount, right? Assume I've done my maths right there. Cool, and we want that to take a little bit of time, so we can give it an attack. We don't really want a decay. We don't really want any release to happen. Sort of all going to be on the attack here. Cool, so our actual sound might be too short, so let's go back to here. And what was our target? It's going to be a much better kick, by the way. Cool, there's lots of distortion and stuff happening in there. Might actually want this to go even lower. Now we can use the filter drive a bit. Actually too much of a click right now, so let's maybe dial it back. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. Right, you can hear it's doing the job at least. So I've taken the actual other kick out. So let's drop that in. So we've at least got a few bars of it for perspective. It's doing the right sort of thing now. Sweet, so that is now completely our own kick drum performing there, right? So look, we've muted Logic's one, and we've muted from the break that we took in. That's just our kick drum doing that. The one that we've made in the last couple of minutes there, just to prove that it can be done. So if we now bring you back in. So there's too much going on now. Let's just have a quick listen between the two and make sure I am in the right ballpark. Cool, so it's a very different sound. Cool, so there's a lot of like high end going on with the other one. We can make it a bit noisy, and we can give it that feel, most definitely. What we'll do, we'll go into Oscillator B. We'll take the saw off. We'll put the white noise on though. We need to go global and turn it on. Maybe if we use pink. Right, yeah, pink. We can dirty it up a bit. Let's just have a quick listen again. Ours has got a nice click as well, which is good. We could do that and dial this back and level. Cool, let's filthy that up a bit. Just have a little listen to what that's done. If we turn off Oscillator B, super clean, bit filthy. We'll dial it back even further, I think. That's good. Yeah, you know what? That's doing the job right there. Let's put the Logic kick back in. Cool, so there's a bit of a stagger going on now between these two, whereas they were nicely lined up before that. By pure luck that the waveforms were like bang on each other. These are cancelling each other out a little bit now. I can stick you up the top. But if you can hear that, if we play just these two, yeah, you got like that weird like stagger going on. Let's listen to you on your own. What we could maybe do if we select the single kick 02 channel, there is a way to move it back and forth ever so slightly using the delay here. You can just move it a couple of ticks. It doesn't physically move it, but it does adjust how fast or late it triggers, and we'll just see if we can balance it out a bit better. That's a bit better. We've just taken that back by 21 ticks. That's definitely in the right ballpark now. Sweet, so you can totally hear that difference, right? If I put it back to 0, what was it, minus 25? Listen to the change when I go back to 0. They're like proper staggered, like blah, blah, coming into each other. However, minus 25. And much more on time with each other. That should sound a bit better in the whole track. Muted that top one. Yep. All right, that was definitely a good start at replacing our break and making the drums completely our own. We'll look at doing the hi-hats and snare in the next video because this is starting to run a bit long. And yeah, let's keep developing that and keep building upon it. I'm excited for this. Getting into some drum synthesis, not the route I expected to go, but I can't give the break away. So this is what we're going to do. Guys, I will see you next Monday on that video. And please keep commenting below, throwing me emails. It's great to hear from you guys. I'd like to hear how you're going. I've started a Warrior Sound Facebook group. I'll try and remember to link that down below. But I want to hear the tracks you guys are creating as well. So if you guys want to jump in there, it's a good way to post them. Because if you post links on the videos here, they just get spam filtered and I probably won't see them. But in there, or if you post on the Unders page on Facebook as well, I tend to see stuff on there. You can even message me on there. I want to hear what you guys are creating from these videos and learning about this music production style. And if you want to do more with it. So yeah, that's it. I will see you guys on the next video.